Welcome to another Seesaw Scenario with Eric and Mark Playground Rules podcast. Jordan Peterson uses the example of lobsters to argue that social hierarchies and meritocracy are deeply rooted in biology rather than just social constructs. This caused an uproar, and many podcasters of notoriety spoke out against it. Were they speaking out against the lobsters comparison? Or were they subtly speaking against a meritocracy? In the everybody deserves a trophy world is where nepotism flourishes. It would seem that one of the best ways to lock down an industry is to stifle legitimate competition and host rigged events where the public can get the illusion of a battle. Everybody loves seeing a battle, and even when they find out it might be rigged and fake, they still buy an expensive television, order takeout, and enjoy the game. This weeds out the truly deserved of victory of the picture and allows the market to be controlled. We can even take into account what's been supposedly happening with the NFL, where teams that were supposed to be winning were losing, and teams that were supposed to be losing were winning. We're not alluding to anything other than what a reasonable person would surmise. But it was interesting that the NFL has supposedly alleged that they will not guarantee fairness of outcomes in any of their games. You also see it at the workplace, as we've talked about earlier, where unlikely candidates and defiance of nature are promoted while those whose hard work, dedication, and vast experience who would have otherwise deserved it are left with nothing. In some strange way, on the playground of life, it seems like we've been conditioned to fear the strongest winning, as if the consequence of that would be that those that aren't the strongest in the category will perpetually lose. I would hypothesize, if meritocracy were ever allowed to see the light of day, the opposite of what is feared would happen. You see, when the weak win as a result of a rigged game, whether in professional sports or at a corporation, it is metaphorically like putting a giant wooden tree with giant wooden fruit in a town full of hungry people. Sure, it would look nice, but the people will starve. Nothing good long-term is gained by letting or helping the weak win. In fact, many corporations go bankrupt because they refuse to get away from that practice, and eventually the good people that they need to stay afloat get fed up and leave. Conversely, when the competition is fair, and the strongest, most tactical, most ready, smartest, most prepared get ahead, that is like planting a forest of fruit trees in a hungry town. You see what should scare us all about the nepotistic model, and I think it does, but it seems not enough to scare us into action, is that it allows weak-minded, weak-bodied, weak-spirited individuals to assume positions of leadership of high responsibility because they feel like it, and are well-connected enough to be in it. I'm not saying that you have to be able to beat your opponent at an arm wrestling contest to be able to be in charge, because that's just foolish. But I am saying you have to have something to offer, and the only system that can come even close to kind of guaranteeing that is a meritocracy. When you think back of all the people that you know that have had to work for everything they have, would it be fair to surmise that they value what they have more and are more responsible with it than somebody who is capable of getting their own positions and things, but is perpetually given everything they have? And in your experience, which one of those two makes a better boss? How say you, Mark?
So, Eric, this is interesting because this specific set of topics is slightly controversial. I almost feel like when Jordan Peterson said that merit is rooted in biology, with lobsters, it's like there's some humor in that, but at the same time, I think it's kind of, with the lobsters, it's kind of like gaslighting people a little bit, or maybe it's sparking debate, which is not a bad thing, okay? So it's interesting. Let's speak to that first. Let's speak to talking about strength and weakness really quickly, okay? Strength is, if we're perceiving in the traditional sense, is about, yes, absolutely, you earn it, you're strong, you're the strongest candidate, and it's kind of just like a cookie-cutter set of qualifications. But I think that strength in modern society can also be who you know or what family you're born into. Now, that may not make somebody a strongest candidate to do something, to do a certain role or whatever, but it certainly adds strength to their name. It certainly adds strength to their reach, to their platform. For example, you have the late Princess Diana, who many people, and again, this is not political at all. This is just completely based on, the understanding of her and the memory of her as a philanthropist and that type of thing. Is that Princess Diana was known to help out with charitable causes and use her family's name in order to carry out good deeds for the world, to help people out, the less fortunate, speak on important social issues and that type of thing. Now, was she qualified to do that in the conventional sense, aside from being born into that royal family? I would like to think so. I mean, again, that's probably open to debate. But the thing is that somebody who is more qualified in that role actually could have possibly not achieved as much as her because they weren't born into that same family. So you could have somebody who, let's say another person who's even more of a philanthropist, even harder working and that type of thing than Princess Diana was, but at the same time was not born into that same family, did not have that same reach, did not have those same opportunities. Therefore, actually, in a sense, and this is not going to be a popular statement, I imagine, in certain roles, actually, biology actually becomes part of qualification or merit in a sense. Or maybe let's just say the qualification piece. Okay, so she's qualified for the role because her reach, her family name is part of that role, But at the same time, she still has to earn it. Just being born into the family, she still has to earn it. So there's some topics for debate there. I do think that strength, though, can be merit, but strength can also be who your support system is, who you know, what what family you're born into, etc. And that's based on that example. As far as, let's talk about what we are valuing, or let's say people who are merit-based value what they have more. I think as a general rule, that's probably true. I think that if you've actually really earned in the traditional sense what you have, you're probably going to value it more. And I think it's hard to argue with that. I can't think of a counterexample to that. The other piece, though, ends up being the people who are merit-based or driven by merits, let's say, or have earned it, are they always the best leaders? Not necessarily, actually. They could be. It can go both ways. I can think of examples both ways. In a traditional sense, yes, you'd like to think so. If you've earned it, you're going to be a better leader than somebody else, or maybe part of earning being the leader. But the thing is, I've worked in roles where at other companies where people kind of gave me one person in particular I can think of kind of gave me the sort of like, well, you haven't earned it type of thing. I remember one dealership that I worked at many years ago when I was still in the automotive industry. And then a more recent company where the people said, no, from day one, rather than trying to welcome me in and make me feel comfortable and everything, it's like, oh, no, we don't know you here. You haven't earned it, and that type of thing. One guy in particular was unwilling to train me because he said, yeah, you know what? When I started here, I don't have access to the same resources as you do. I don't ask the same kind of questions as you do. So I don't know why you're asking me those questions. Well, it's like he's almost like a hard line merit kind of guy. Well, you know what? That doesn't lend itself to very good, to making somebody feel very hospitable or to making somebody feel like they can ask questions or train. I'm trying to earn it. I'm trying to earn the place that I'm in. I'm trying to earn the role that I'm in. I'm a couple days in, right, with that job. So I really believe it's imperative to give somebody an opportunity when they start to succeed. Like, for example, the guy who I'm training at work right now, he has access to more training resources than I ever did at the beginning. But I'm still doing it because I feel like it's the right thing to do. I want to see him succeed. It's mutually beneficial. And I don't want to go back to, a couple of years ago or whatever, a few years ago and say, oh, you didn't have access to the same resource. I never had access to the same resources as you do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't see why you should have to have access to them. I don't think that's the right way to handle it. I don't think that's good training. I don't think that's good leadership. So I believe that some of these people who are merit hardliners, actually, as I'll call them, they actually put it in their own realm of determining subjectively who's earned it and who hasn't earned it, under what circumstances they've earned it. And sometimes they actually end up participating in the creation and the fortification of the playground that we face. So I think there's a delicate balance there. Would love to know everyone's thoughts in the comments.